Carving my block of foam. It was just a rectangle, and now I'm trying to sort of cut off pieces. This is the size of Hagrid's hut that I'm going to be putting on top, and I want some overlay so that I can put on some moss. And I'm going to try to cut out some steps. I'm not sure if this is the right sort of way to do them, but I'm making this up as I go along. This is only the second piece that I've ever carved, so I'm just trying to make some step shapes, and maybe it'll be a little rounded, and that'll correspond with his little steps there. So we'll keep plugging along and see how we go. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm using my foam cutter on the long stick attachment, and I'm trying to stick it straight down and carve around these steps, because this bottom layer here is what's actually going to be my first step. I think I'm going to have 2 steps on the bottom half and 2 steps on the top half. So, you know, trying to cut out more to start with, and I can always trim a little bit later, but I'm trying to make the cut as straight down as possible. Okay, so the original set of stairs were definitely too steep for just 4 steps. So I ended up doing this sort of curved set of steps, and I'm curving them back up, and maybe I'll have a little sitting area for some pumpkins or something like that. And then let's look. Hagrid's hut will be about boop, there. So you can kind of come out and continue going down the hill to the table. All right, so here are what my steps ended up looking like, and I did a couple of little ledges as well going up to Hagrid's house. I have switched to my wire attachment. This wire does not come in or out. It's not adjustable, so it's just kind of the straight wire. I know a lot of people can put extra wire on the top and sort of push the arms in to sort of carve little rounded notches, but unfortunately this one does not have that. But considering I'm a novice or a beginner, this is what it was from Amazon. Perfect mini electric hot knife cutting pen. Garita. I've obviously cut off the top. It is $24, super standard. Comes with this little one and the wire cutter, the long one, and 1 extra little wire. So I think I'll leave it at that for now. I'm gonna smooth down some more of these edges actually. I'm just smoothing down the edges a little bit because I'm going to put moss all over it, and the smoother the edges are, the easier it'll be to kind of paste that on there. This side I've left exactly shaped like this, and hopefully when I put it against my Hogwarts mountain, it will take on this shape and it'll fit the area where I put it up against. That might need a little extra carving, but I think that's about it for carving, and then it'll just be painting and mossing. All right, so here we have Hagrid's platform, and I have carved it out so that it fits up against my other mountain. And let's have a look and see what Hagrid looks like on top. So that's the angle it'll look like. I might turn it a little that way. We'll see once we get everything on the platform. And now it's time. I'm seeing some of my gray. It got a little bit darker than I anticipated. So we're gonna go ahead and lighten that up even more now that it's dry. Right, now I've moved on to Hagrid's. I did the entire base in just this green color, forest green. And now what I've done is I've taken the 3 colors of green that I used on the castle, and I am just blotting them randomly. So I'm picking up, I'll show you my sort of, just a little dot of each. I love this olive green. This is foliage green. So it's kind of an olive color. It's definitely got some good shades of yellow in there. And a little dot of my lighter leaf green. Little dot of each. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking my dry brush, pretty dry, and I'm just dotting them in all 3, and then kind of blotting it here, there, and everywhere. I think the leaf green is just a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna go back to my dark, just my dark green, and get rid of, oh, I just grabbed black by accident. Let me rub that off. Oh, there we go. Black and green make dark green, so that'll be fine. Dark green. We're just gonna kind of keep blotting it on there. Now the thing about this base is I'm going to cover it with a sheet of moss. So I'm only kind of doing detail work to the steps. So what I did was I took my thin brush and I really watered down the black so that it was super, super runny. And I just gently ran it into the crevices so that it gives my steps a little bit of depth to them and a little bit of shading. If I was thinking about it ahead of time, I would have gone ahead and painted a layer of black and then done the green, but working backwards, not a big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and blot some of this off with a dry paper towel. I don't need it to really be that wet. And then we'll see, yeah, that'll do. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect because, as I say, there's gonna be moss going on it anyway, but it at least gives you a little more depth to your steps. And you can see the shadowing of all the steps. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so here's the end of my putzing around with the steps. I sort of over blended it a little bit. I noticed that the colors started blending together too much. So I just took my small brush and my little foliage olivey color green and dotted it intentionally along the edges and along ridges. And I did not blend it in. As you can see, they're little green blobs and dots. So I don't want to blend that in because I want them to kind of look like patches of moss, patches of grass. Gonna let that dry and then add my moss around the entire edge and part of the top. Okay, so I am now gluing and building the steps. What I did was I carved out pieces of foam in smaller and smaller chunks, and now I'm gluing them together. I numbered them all, so that's 7, this is 8, and now I'm just stacking them all one by one on top of each other after I glued the bottoms of each. And as you can see, I've made my steps crooked. It's gonna go outside of Gringotts. If you have ever visited the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, a lot of things are not straight on purpose. So I thought that would be a fun little touch to add to my steps that will go on the base that Gringotts Bank will go on top of. So once I get the base built, which is gonna be several layers, so I'm gonna do Gringotts sort of at the bottom, and then a really tall layer, and then a sort of medium layer. And then the steps will go in between Gringotts and 2 of the other buildings. Okay, so I've decided to make a little wall. It's gonna be about that tall. It's about 1.25 inches tall and maybe 2/3 of an inch wide. And I'm just taking my precision tool here and very lightly putting stones into this. So just very lightly, don't dig in very much, because this styrofoam I just got out of a package, so it's super lightweight, and it burns very, very easily. So we want to make sure not to dig too deep here. And I'm just making sort of stone shapes, different sizes, trying to make it as random as possible. And then I'll be able to put several of these together to do a little wall in front of some of my buildings. Just for a little bit of interest. Probably gonna paint it gray. So just doing the top and the front. You can, if you're doing a sort of 3D, do the back as well, so that at least you have it on all the sides. I'm not sure how long they're gonna be yet. I'm just gonna do the whole thing in stone, and then I can cut it to whatever length I need to, and then just touch up the edges with stone if necessary, or glue them together to make corners and whatnot. Yeah, making my own little stone wall. Saves $15 buying 4 of them on Amazon from Department 56. I am now finished with the carving of my fence pieces. I have a bunch of random ones. I don't know what exactly size yet. And now I'm carving some stacked blocks to go along with these steps and gringotts. And I'm thinking, we'll see, but I'm thinking of having 2 little walls there. I think I'm gonna carve a little stepped piece that maybe eventually like a bench or something can go in. Now I don't have like any accessories. I'm just very early in my process of collecting village pieces. So eventually I'll get some stuff. I bought some trees, but that's about all I have. So I think I'm gonna carve cobblestone down here, and then he's gonna be stacked somewhere, not all the way down, not all the way up. So we'll see how Ollivander's goes. But this will be a sort of diorama that'll allow 3 pieces to sit. You know, it doesn't have to be the owlery, but yeah, there's a beginning. We'll see where it takes me. Here is the base that all of the other pieces are going to go on top of, and then the buildings are going to go on top of those pieces to give a little bit of height difference. But I'm just putting in little pieces of cobblestone here and there that have broken through the concrete, because I definitely wanted texture on this, but obviously cobblestone would have taken me a really long time to do the entire piece. So this, I think, will give me the texture I'm looking for, and then I will black wash this and then do coats of shades of gray after that. All right, so here we have some bases. You might be able to see I did some brickwork in the front of this sort of wall, and I did some sort of broken cobble that this is kind of like the concrete's been broken and the old cobble down below is showing through, and then some more brickwork around the edge here. And then gonna work on my stairs that I glued together. But all I'm doing now is putting a very thin coat. So I'm thinning out the black with a lot of water to make sure that it really seeps down in the cracks. And then this I'm gonna let completely dry, and then we'll start building up our color after that. All right, so here is my base piece all finished and all of my wall pieces carved. I cut them all and carved the ends as well so that there aren't any unfinished ends. And This one will kind of go here. So it saves me a little bit of money rather than buying pieces of ceramic wall and putting them up. But I'm gonna get to painting this and then painting those, and almost done with my first display. So here is, I think, going to be my final result after several layers of shading, grays and whites and beiges. I added a little bit of beige here and there to try to mimic the stone in Ollivanders. I added some white to the tips of different stones to try to make it look a little bit like snow. I may even do some snow later on that you can make with baking soda. I found it somewhere. You can make it with white paint, baking soda, and glue. And this is gonna be my base. I wanted to get it really black, so it's on its third coat of black, and I put just a little bit of gray wash to try to bring out the stones a bit. Yeah, so tried to bring in a little bit of those colors, a little bit of the red brick from that one, a little bit of the beige from that one, and each piece is a bit unique. So we'll see what it looks like when it's all dry, and I think if I'm happy with this, I can go ahead and finish assembling the rest of my village. I've decided to add a little bit of very fine glitter to my walls where I painted the snow. So it looks like new fallen snow, and hopefully it should glitter nicely under the lights. And who doesn't love a little bit of Christmas glitter? All right, so what I have done is stuck some thumbtacks into the bottom of my little lamp posts, and I am working on sticking some thumbtacks into the bottom of the walls that I made out of foam, and that way it'll hold into the foam better. And then I'm going to put some more tacks into the trees because I put some into trees already, and it definitely helps hold it a lot better. All right, so here we are, my first ever Christmas village 2020. Give you a little bit of a zoom in. I think, for my first go round, and every year I'm sure I'll add to it. I don't have any of the fun little accessories this year. I might get a few for my Christmas present, who knows. But I'd love to put a bench and a little pergola or something around. Maybe some kids playing in the snow, you know. But this is kind of my Diagon Alley area, and I've left room for expansion for more pieces. Eventually I'd like to get the Weasleys, and the castle is kind of set with Hagrid's, and the train is leaving Hogwarts and coming to London to Diagon Alley. So there you have it. Harry Potter Christmas Village. Next, I'll need to do my Christmas tree. Wanted to give you a little look at what it looks like when the lights are off. The buildings just have a very warm, delicate glow to them. I love all the windows in the castle. And you can even see some of the windows glow and other ones don't. Isn't that a nice little touch?